Hey everyone, good evening. Welcome
Hey, how
back
you
to
doing?
the Same Old Arsenal podcast. Not yet, Dan, not yet. I'll
Oh,
introduce you in a
have I
second.
peaked too soon?
You've peaked. Um, hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Friday night, got two great guys with me. I'm going to introduce them in a second. What I do want to say is it is the North London Derby tomorrow. And I I'm always very excited about this. Very nervous, but very excited. So tonight I decided to bring a Spurs fan on. Now, before anyone says anything, does anything, okay? Daniel is actually a personal friend of mine, nothing to do with social media. And he's not one of those Spurs fans that's a bit of a twat. I promise you, he's okay. So, Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Treat me gently. It's good to be here.
Yes, of course. We've known each other many, many years, and you know I'm not like that. We have a little bit of
Hmm,
banter, but I'm not like that.
That's all fair
Um,
game.
yeah, of course. We'll have a bit of a laugh. Obviously, if me and Alan start mentioning trophies, I feel like you're going to be a bit left out. But don't worry, I won't leave you out too much.
We can do European trophies if you like. How many you got?
Yeah, that's fine. We've got European trophies. Oh,
Two of
hold on,
them.
let me turn my phone off. Also, I'd like to welcome back to the show, good friend of the Same Old Arsenal podcast and good friend of me as well, Mr. Alan Elgar. How are you?
How you doing? Yeah, good to see you.
It's been a weird couple of months, hasn't it? Because all of a sudden you're looking at football. We've had breaks where we obviously they weren't planned breaks. Arsenal are top of the league, which weirdly does still sound very weird.
Yeah,
And now all of a sudden it seems to have come very quickly, this North London derby out, doesn't it? So
yeah, and even looking at the table, you're looking at like some teams have only played 6 games, and it seems like the season's been going for many, many more weeks than that. It's been odd, as you say, with the enforced break, sad passing the Queen, and then obviously this international break, last one before we break again for a long, long time for the World
uh,
Cup. So it is a very unusual season. We spoke about the COVID season, 2 seasons ago, everyone saying unprecedented, but actually, the breaks and stops and starts within this season are going to be roughly similar, albeit
Hmm.
happily with fans in the ground.
well, weirdly with the World Cup coming, but before we start any of that, Dan, you've never been able to do me little Spurs preview show. Normally have Max on. It's your turn. So I'd like to welcome you to the show. And
Thank you.
being a Spurs fan, you are not really amongst friends here, are you?
We're
So
all friends.
we're all friends, just not football friends. So, Dan, tell everybody what you do because I know you work at Tottenham.
I
Tell us
do.
what you do.
So, I mean, first and foremost, I'm a Spurs fan, right? I've been a season ticket holder since the age of 5, which is 47 years now. So you can do the maths. I've worked at Tottenham for the last 23 years. I commentate basically. So I did Spurs TV for the first 18 years, commentating on Tottenham's games home and away. And for the last sort of 4 or 5 years, I've done a commentary for the visually impaired. So there's a bunch of fans inside the ground that can't see properly. In some cases, can't see at all. At Tottenham, they're the lucky ones. I thought I'd say that before you do. And but jokes aside, we paint the pictures for them. So all the things that we take for granted, like stupid little things, like when the subs warm up, there's a round of applause in the corner where they're warming up away from the action. They don't know what that is. What colour the goalkeepers' kits are, what colour the referees' kits are today, all that type of thing. And we describe the action for them. And yeah, it's really rewarding. I'm also a trustee of a charity the club helped set up back. It's actually 20 years ago next month, which helps former players of the club that are in a bit of financial difficulty later in life for whatever reason. I genuinely wish more clubs did that. We're independent of the club. They help us to a certain extent with a bit of funding and fundraising, but it's really worthwhile. There's a few clubs that have that now, and certainly in our case, our heroes from the '60s, they are in their 70s and 80s now. they didn't earn the sort of money that today's players do, and they genuinely need help, and it's really worthwhile and really rewarding. So I'm proud to be part of that.
It's very good what you do for the visually impaired. You never think about that, actually, that, obviously if someone's clapping, they want to know what's going on and what way they're kicking off. And that's a really good. Oh God, I've got to like you now through the whole podcast.
Sorry.
How can I have a go at you?
You can.
So also welcome to everyone in the chat room. And there is a mutual friend of ours in the chat room, Dan. David Katz has come to say hello. And David and I'm going to put little David up to say hello. Hi, David. I think he's back in Israel at the moment. But David's known my family, for about 45 years. And he's a friend of yours as well, isn't he? So
he is. He is. And also, just mentioning the visually impaired, David is legally blind.
Yeah.
So, he has a charity as well, which I happen to chair his foundation. It's an incredible story of David. Very, very briefly, he was a Fleet Street photographer, big Arsenal fan, and he's photographed all around the world. Prime ministers, presidents, sovereigns, and he did it as a legally blind photographer. It's an amazing story.
He is an amazing guy. And let me tell you something about David that not you probably don't know, is that David took the pictures at the Islington Town Hall in 1989. I had to mention it, see? He was on the balcony with Tony Adams. So my pictures that I've got, the very exclusive ones that no one else has got, is from David. So all those years ago, back in 89. So that's so weird, David. I've just realised it was you. And I think you took a photo of us, me and my family in the crowd outside the town hall as well. So welcome to the show, David. But it's lovely to have you here. I'm sure you're only here to see your mate, Dan, but welcome anyway. And also hello to everybody else in the chat room as well. Very remiss of me not to say hello. I'm sure we're all plutzing. I'm sure we're all very excited about tomorrow. Al, are you off to the Emirates tomorrow with me?
I am indeed. Yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to 2 Premier League games tomorrow because one's not enough. So,
you're going off to West Ham? Yeah,
heading to West Ham straight afterwards for a bit of work. They're nicely spaced out either side of the 3 p.m. games. So, obviously the big one is the morning one. That's just West Ham's just for dessert. But it's one of those weird ones. I don't like 12:30 kickoffs on a Saturday. I really don't. I think it's the worst kickoff you can have in the 100%. Premier League. I really 100%. Hate it. And I think the games take a while to get going, even if it's a big game like this. I genuinely think that it is probably one of the worst kickoffs you can have for a derby. That's no excuse because I think it affects both teams. But I just hope the atmosphere is as buzzy as it would be for a 2 p.m. Sunday, 4:30 Sunday. The kind of time we usually kick off in this game. Just 12:30 on a Saturday just says to me that it'll be a slow starting game and the crowd might be a little bit quiet.
Yeah, Cole Stark agrees with you. Hate 12:30 kickoffs. You know what? It's a real weird one. We used to, Al, not play well at the midday kickoffs. We haven't done too badly last season and this season. So as much as I'm with you, and I don't think really anyone does, but I disagree with you. I think the crowd is gonna explode tomorrow because what Daniel doesn't know is that now all you Spurs fans that say the Emirates is really quiet, it's gone the other way, Dan. It is so loud. Forget the fact that we've got North London forever, which is I absolutely love it. And it's going to get everybody up, apart from the little corner, a lot of you lot. That the crowd don't stop singing. And what you're going to notice, Dan, where you'll be standing next to you, we've got a new group of fans called the Ashburton Army that do not stop. They've got the black arse. I think it's the black Arsenal top. They all wear it. They don't stop in the clock ends, which is fantastic because they've not been known to be the loud stand. It's always been the North Bank. So I disagree with Alan. I think the atmosphere is going to be absolutely mental tomorrow. For a start, we're top of the league. What are you, 3rd now?
Yeah, we go top if we win or when we win, right?
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. But
jokes aside, though, talking about the atmosphere, and I'm not going into the whole library thing, but one of the things that's really different about the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and the Emirates, and I have been to the Emirates a lot over the last year. where your upper tier ends and you've got the sort of roof, that's exposed, that's open. At Tottenham, that's built in with glass, and the sound bounces off that and comes back. That makes a massive, massive difference to the noise.
Well,
It really
I'll
does.
tell you another thing that makes
I'll tell you what makes another difference. Go on, Al.
You definitely play crowd sound.
We don't. We absolutely don't. We
Dan,
don't. I'm telling you, we don't. Listen, I'm involved there, right? I'm telling you 100% for a fact that's absolute nonsense.
it's so
It does
well
not happen.
known that you do.
It's not happening.
I work at Tottenham games, so maybe I go to maybe one every 3 or 4 home games you have, and there's not a chance that's actually generated by that.
It is.
That end.
What do you do there? Because I work on the matchday production.
Well, my company sponsors Tottenham, so I sometimes have to be there for games entertaining.
Right.
So obviously I'm staying dead quiet when those songs are being sung, and to my left, and it is an extremely impressive stand.
Yeah.
You know that what you've managed to do to cut out and keep the corners in. But I'm almost certain, and would stake my life on the fact that those speakers somehow start playing the sound of whichever song's being sung just before it gets sung. So it's as if they're sort of provoking that. And it's
I'm involved.
I think I've seen an online article about it, so I'm going to try and prove it one way or the other, Daniel. But it is impressive and it is loud, and I think it is a big factor. And it's always something that maybe you guys had over us, is that our home crowds were quiet. I think it's a bit of a myth to say that Highbury was. It was just obviously, as you've just said, with the Emirates design, Highbury was wide open on every corner, and everyone thought that was quiet.
Yeah.
But for certain matches, it wasn't. I think a lot of Tottenham fans will be surprised by how the Emirates has changed.
Yeah, like I said, I've been there a lot over the last year. It has got louder. As you said, Amanda, you got the fans that wear the black shirt behind the goal, and being blunt, you've had a lot more to sing about over the last few months, right? So it's going to get loud. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. The 12:30 kickoff, and I agree with you 100%. It is a flat time. It doesn't generate a good atmosphere typically. So tomorrow's going to be really interesting. I'm going, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Amanda, I've just seen someone said in the chat the Brentford game was 12 noon, and we won there. Yeah, I'm talking about the atmosphere generated by the home fans. And if you think about it, Brentford were as flat as anything. So she's proved my point with that message.
Yeah, but I think it was different. Come on now. It's a North London derby. It's Arsenal, Tottenham. And I just want to go back on Daniel's point. Daniel, I understand what you're saying about a lot to sing about, but this started halfway through last season.
It did.
The away fans have not stopped. Okay, that then was brought into the Emirates last year. So it isn't now because we're top of the league and we're doing well, and it's great football. It started halfway through last season. All of a sudden, the Emirates was a bit louder. It helped with the North London Forever anthem coming in, and it helped that for some reason a lot of people's mindsets changed and realised positivity helps more than the negativity. That's what I think. Go on now.
I think it was a combination of 3 unrelated things. I think the first thing was the wars, but the sort of almost civil war between Wenger in, Wenger out. Everyone had 2 years to get over that, 2-3 years to get over that. And I totally agree. It was halfway through last season. There was another thing halfway through last season. The people that had COVID were asked whether or not they wanted to buy their season tickets back or have half season tickets for other people, especially in club level and places like that. And I actually think what happened was a lot of the fair weather fans that just thought it'd be okay to have a season ticket at the Emirates because Arsenal, were a big club in London, maybe sort of 10 years ago when the Emirates was fresh and new. They suddenly thought, well, maybe I won't. Maybe I don't really support the club that much. And I think we lost a lot of their weather fans. And luckily, they were replaced by people that wanted to be there and wanted to cheer on the team. And that was the beauty of it. And again, I think that clock end group is probably part of that. I mean, when have we been able to, in the first sort of 10, 15 years of the Emirates, been able to get a group of young lads together that can A, afford to go, and B, sit with their mates, and it's a huge thing that has occurred. And I mean, it was incredible. The last game, I forget the last home game. Was it Aston Villa or Fulham, wasn't it?
I can't remember.
Well, the amazing
won.
thing for me is that people were up in club level singing. People were up in the upper tier singing in places that you would never have ever expected. In a game that, you know, albeit 2-1, both of them were tight games, but you had people up singing, and I found it incredible. And it can only get better. And I also feel that it was also a sort of acceptance that you don't win everything. You know, you will have bad times as a supporter, and it does shake those fair weather fans from the fan base, and it means people that want to be there are there, and they want to support the team. And you're not going to win everything. You're not going to always be up there, and sometimes those tough times are the fun times. I mean, you'll remember the early '80s, Amanda, and I remember like that was my first time going to Highbury. Arsenal hadn't won a thing for ages, and you know we had change of manager every now and again. You know, Terry Neal, Don Howe, and actually at those times nobody was really expecting to win anything, and that's why the late '80s and what George Graham achieved were they felt like amazing achievements because nobody expected it to happen and then had that dip before. So all I'm saying, Daniel, is this sort of 20 inches without a trophy will mean that if you do win one soon, it'll be amazing to feel that.
No, totally. No, listen, it's what you said is bang on, right? You have to go through the bad times to enjoy the good times, and that's why all the Chelsea fans that remember Mickey Droy, you know, when they were playing in the second division every week. Good luck to them. It's the plastic fans that have come on since Abramovich. They're the ones, you know, that you have no time for. And it's the same for the Arsenal fans, right?
Completely.
Spurs and Arsenal, not too dissimilar. All right, you've had more success of late. Can't deny that, obviously. But, you know, two similar clubs, similar standing. You know, we had great times in the 60s, early 70s, early 80s. You had it as well. And I think there has to be a bit of mutual respect there, despite the rivalry and the fact that both North London clubs at the moment are doing well. That has to be a good thing for North London as well. I think that has to be. And again, couldn't agree with you more that you hear so many managers talking about the fans being the 12th man. If you can have that at home, then that's only going to help the side. You know, you had the Wenger in, the Wenger out, then you had the Arteta problems as well. The fact now that everyone seems to be behind the manager, behind the club, that's got to be a good thing for Arsenal.
It is
until tomorrow.
It is, and it's slightly different because Arsenal won the FA Cup in '79. That was my first memory of a cup final. I wasn't there, but I was watching it, and that was my first memory. And then the early '80s, as Al said, Dan, you said, I was at school with a lot of people, you know, Daniel, and you were the ones. It was Ozzy Ardiles and Ricky Villa, and Arsenal were, as Alan said, we were just like, it was dire. But George Graham comes in I don't know if it was 85, but he won the cup in 86. Right. 86. So then I thought it was 86 we won it. Was it 87 then? No, 87.
87 we won it.
Yeah. So 87. From then on, Dan, I'm not being funny. Yeah. For us, and I'm not just being an Arsenal fan, it's been all us. Okay, because then you've had 89, obviously. Then we won the league. Then we won the cups. Then Wenger comes in. Then we win the double and the Invincibles. And Tottenham are nowhere to be seen winning a trophy. I'm just talking fact here. It's not cyclical because you haven't. When's the last time you won the league? It was in black and white. Yeah, so right. No, sorry. What I mean, right. So what I'm trying to say is when you say mutual respect, it's a weird thing for young Arsenal fans that are not around the London area because they don't hate Spurs as much as the older fans. So when you talk to them, they hate Chelsea, they hate Man United. It's so weird for me because number one is Spurs. I don't really have a number two. I don't hate anyone as much as I hate you lot. So,
but if you go back to the 60s, Amanda, there's a lot of people. I'm not talking about success. I'm talking a lot of people in the 60s used to go 1 week to Tottenham and 1 week to Arsenal.
Yes, my dad did.
So many people did that.
My dad did because, as everybody knows, my mother's family are completely Tottenham, every single one of them. My grandfather was a season ticket holder at Tottenham and used to take my dad when he wasn't at Arsenal. That was a traditional thing to do, which is so bizarre in my head now. But that was in the 60s. But early 70s, we won the double. So it's just a weird situation, really, when you're a nice fan, Daniel. I'm not as nice as you because I don't see any mutual respect whatsoever. It's go on.
No, I do you know what? I sort of get what Daniel means by the mutual respect.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't know if respect is the right word, but when he spoke about, like, so if someone says to me, I'm a Chelsea fan, I would put them in the category of, well, were you before Abramovich or after Abramovich? And then I would judge them on sort of maybe what they know about football. And, you know, you don't want to do it with kids and people like that, but, you know, you'll see kids around North London now walking around in Man City shirts. And that's only because of what's happened there in, you know, recent years. It's nothing to do with some long-standing family connection to Man City or anything like that. So I have a lot of respect for the. I mean, I used to coach a kids' football team in Barnet, so it was a pretty even split of Arsenal and Tottenham fans. I had respect for those kids that were Tottenham fans because their family were Tottenham fans, and the fact that they were seeing kids turn up in Liverpool shirts, United shirts, Chelsea shirts, and just purely glory hunting and not sort of supporting a team that were local to them.
Yeah.
And I sort of get that. I do get that you've got to have that respect in that. I think it is a good decision to support a team that are local or sort of kept in your family. And I think that's how I see Tottenham fans. And the Tottenham fans that I know, obviously, you know, if you live in North London, you're going to interact with Tottenham fans on a daily basis. And if you keep the football out of it, you will know nice ones. Like you know, Daniel. But I still think if someone says to me they support Tottenham, I have genuine football respect for the fact that they support a team where they haven't glory hunted.
So thank you. And that's absolutely the point that I was making. And what I don't like and what I can't stand and don't understand is people that say you're an Arsenal fan, you're a Spurs fan, and they go and beat 7 barrels of crap out of each other. I just don't get it. I just don't understand them.
Well, the thing is, I think the problem. We want to get into that because it is a terrible topic, but I think we've always experienced that we've got that whenever we've gone over to, you know, we've had genuine fans go over to your stadium and have terrible things happen to them. I like to think it hasn't happened vice versa, but there are certain elements, and I think there's more in the Tottenham support that have taken that hatred a little bit too far.
I don't get it.
In recent times. I know Arsenal won't have completely 100% angels in their support too.
No, and that, I mean, Daniel knows, I don't know if you remember, Daniel, the situation that I was in. I've been to the old White Hart Lane hundreds of times over the years. The problem we always had was there's only one entrance in and one entrance out, and it's frightening. And I mean, I'm pretty like quiet when I come out of that ground because it's too scary. When you come out the Emirates, you've got 5 different ways that you can go. Obviously, that's not your fault. But not for the away
fans. It's pretty much channeled. No, it's channeled one way.
Yeah, exactly. But at the Emirates, because see, as you come out the away, we come with you where I come. So I meet on the bridge. But you could go right if you wanted to, and you can go left.
It's normally cordoned off. It's normally cordoned off.
No, it won't be. It isn't. Not when you come out. Not when you come out.
No, we'll see tomorrow.
Because it's the East Stand. It's my side. We all mingle together, and you can go that way or that way. And if you haven't got colours on, no one's going to know who you are. Come out of Tottenham, you've got to go right. And it is absolutely frightening. And that day I came to watch the league game. I mean, it's a whole other story. I don't know if you remember, Dan, but I was caught in the police cordon because Tottenham fans were on the traffic lights with glass. And I mean, I was there. This is not paper talk. I was there. It was the most frightened I've ever been. And I had a Tottenham friend that was taking me home, and I couldn't get there for an hour and a half to try and get out to protect myself. Glass was thrown at me. That is too much. And to tell you, I don't see Arsenal doing that. We are not angels, as Alan said. But if I did see that, I would try and stop anything. I did take a couple of Tottenham friends round the Emirates about 5-6 years ago. They were in colours. I wasn't. and I was getting booed because they thought I was Tottenham, which was funny. I was telling everyone, I'm not Tottenham, they're just my friends. I'm not Tottenham, they're just my friends. But they felt it was intimidating, but it wasn't anything like you get up Seven Sisters Road, Dan. Obviously, that's not your fault, and I know that you're not for any of that. I so get that, but it isn't one of the nicest places to go. And it's not only Arsenal fans that say that, Dan. My northern friends say that as well. It's just not pleasant. And it's a shame. It really is a shame. And I don't know why it goes so far. I get rivalry, the banter. We've all got Arsenal and Tottenham friends in our lives. We've all got different football fans, but it goes far too far at your ground. And since then, I've not been back because I don't feel safe enough to come out and get home. And that's a shame. And yes, I mean, you can't deny how your stadium looks incredible and the noise. But Dan, honestly, every Arsenal fan thinks, and many other fans think, that it comes through the speakers. It's just a common...
It doesn't.
It's so weird.
It doesn't. I promise you it doesn't. I swear. Listen, like I said, I'm part of them. I promise you, I'm part of the matchday production team, right? On commentary. Take it from me.
Fair enough.
Take it from... all right, so they did something like that. I think it was at Wembley, and after 20 minutes it was stopped because it was just utterly ridiculous. It was just utterly ridiculous. But it's never happened at the new stadium.
Well, to everyone listening, I know Daniel, and I know he wouldn't lie. And maybe we're wrong then.
I've only known him half an hour, and I think he's a decent guy, and I totally believe him. But definitely, and I've just seen it now, there's an online article that says that any chants were played back in a loop into the speakers to amplify them. So
who published that?
It's generated, but it's The Independent wrote this in 2017. The new design of the Tottenham Stadium will ensure
it wasn't even open until 2019. It didn't open until 2019. Right, okay.
I know, but
open invitation.
In the design, the atmosphere will be amplified by playing the sound through the speakers.
And open invitation to both of you, right? Next time you're at Tottenham, and I appreciate you're there every few weeks, come over to where I am. I'll show you the stadium briefing.
I'd love to.
In terms of the match day. You'll be more than... Amanda's got my info. We'll pass it on. Hand on heart. I'd be mortified if that was the case. I wouldn't certainly be here defending them. If they do something wrong, I don't defend them.
No,
that's not the case.
Okay, look, let's move on from the speaker gate, as we're going to call it, because I actually thought it was just a common thing that you did and everybody knew it because we've always spoken about it. But let's just move on. Right. So tomorrow's match. Yep. It's going to be an interesting one. And I'll tell you why. Because Arsenal have lost just one of the last 29 league games against Spurs at home. And I don't know whether this is I'm bocking it or not, but we're top of the league. We are going well. It's going to be passionate tomorrow. So, Al, talk to me about how you see us setting up for a start.
I can see Arteta using his usual motivational tactics to say that the first 10 minutes is key and ensuring that we're on the front foot. I think that Conte will know that. He will play up to that. And I think that he will play his usual defensive game to try and catch Arsenal on the break. We've seen it time and time again. I think even the Kieran Tierney clip was doing the rounds today where he's saying, just don't let them counter-attack. It's all they've got. Don't let them counter-attack. I think that's a bit too simplistic. And I also think that if Conte had scouted us well, and, you know, I believe like all top managers, he does his homework and he certainly has good analytics. If I was him, I would play it completely different tomorrow. I would abandon what I would sort of call his own defensive Italian principles and say that if you are going to play only two in midfield and play sort of three up front, or certainly three players with attacking prowess, including, you know, Kane and Son, who should be back in the team after scoring a hat-trick, I think he really needs to try and cause us problems and go for us. And I actually think the way that Tottenham can win this game is a 3-2 or a 4-3 or something like that. I think that if he actually comes to play his normal game and the cautious game, it will play into our hands. And I think that we'll nick a 1-0 or a 2-0. We haven't kept a clean sheet at home in the Premier League for over 200 days. So you're looking at Tottenham scoring tomorrow because, you know, they're a better than average Premier League team that are coming to the Emirates, a place where we haven't kept a clean sheet at home for over 200 days. They need to exploit that. And if I was Conte, I would abandon those defensive principles. And I would say we do have the strikers to cause Arsenal harm. And we're going to go gung-ho and try and make it a shootout. And in a shootout, I actually fear that Tottenham will win. But I don't have much of a fear there because I don't think he'll do it. And I think he will come. And I think he'll try and silence us in the first 10. And I think it will become a stagnated game where Arsenal will have more of the ball and be allowed to have more of the ball. Because of that, I think that we'll edge the game. Maybe 1-0 or 2-1.
Oh, I haven't come to predictions yet. I was just listening to that analysis.
So it's interesting because you basically said what I was going to say in terms of the midfield. Conte said as much in his presser yesterday. The last 25 minutes of the Leicester game before the international break, he did that. He brought Bissouma on and played three in the middle. The potential injury to Kulusevski would enable that as well, and you can still play three up front in the form of Richarlison, Kane, and Son. Son scored twice in the international break, plus he got the hat trick last time out. Richarlison scored 3 times in the international break. He'll be hungry. I think he got sent off against Arsenal last year, didn't he, up at Goodison Park? He's hungry. We do let teams have the ball. I think if we do that tomorrow, then that could be costly. I think one thing you may not be aware of, or Gabriel Jesus is on 4 yellow cards. If he gets booked tomorrow, he's out of the Liverpool game, which
we know that
will be a big blow for you as well. We have players that have travelled a long way. Sanchez, Romero, both potentially going to start tomorrow at the back. They were both in America. I think Sanchez in California, Romero in New Jersey. They played in the early hours of Wednesday, didn't get back till Thursday. Jet lag could be a factor there. If we play 2 in the middle, I'm not confident. If we do play 3 in the middle, bring Bissouma in. I was at Arsenal Brighton last year. Bissouma had a really good game. I think he might have scored.
He did. Yeah, as well. Yeah.
Did. And I think that was the last time you were beaten at home. And Brighton the following week played us, and then that was the last time we were beaten in the Premier League. So everything sort of goes back towards Brighton. But I think if Bissouma plays, then with Bentancur and Højbjerg, that could be interesting. But both teams are better in terms of players this season to last year. You're rejuvenated up front. You're rejuvenated at the back with Saliba, who's an excellent player. And obviously Gabriel Jesus has come in and hit the ground running. But we have players as well capable of winning that game. And tactically, it's going to be a masterclass. I think it's going to be who blinks first. First 15 minutes are going to be key. And I think both teams will tire towards the end because of the international break.
Dan, I think we're coming for you within the first 10 seconds. I think it's going to... We will. No, we will. It's going to... I just can predict in my head that the minute it's kickoff, we're gone. We will come at you. I'm just worried that we don't play like the High Line because got caught out at United. And for me, if we can stop the supply to Kane, which is where Partey will come in if he's playing tomorrow. Is he
fit though? Is Partey fit?
Yeah, he played.
He didn't. He was going to play for Ghana.
Oh,
midway. He pulled out in the warm-up.
Last game he played for us.
All Arteta has said is that he is available for selection in the squad. So he hasn't actually alluded to the fact he could be in the first team. But he's going to be named in the squad. But he's going to be key because Kane these days, he's getting a bit older. Maybe he's getting a bit wiser. Maybe he also realises he has other players that he can bring into play. But he does drop deep, and he likes to do that turn on the ball and then sort of flick it round. And you've got to get Partey right up his backside and make sure that he's not doing that.
Yeah.
And he'll be told to go and do that. Amanda, what do you think that with the all or nothing? We got a bit more insight into our team and certainly our manager. I even warmed to him because I was very neutral on him in terms of a personality. I didn't like him as a player. I don't mean hate him. I mean as in just didn't warm to him as a player. I really warmed to him over all or nothing. That's not to say there were a few glaring things in there that he's got to learn. And I thought one of them was having us too riled up before matches. And you've just said we're going to go at them in the first 10 seconds. But if you remember, our best period of the game away at White Hart Lane in that winner-takes-all Champions League game last season was actually the first 5 or 6 minutes where we did go at Tottenham. We did chase them down. We did look as if we were going to be the aggressors in the game. But Tottenham sat that up completely and obviously, got their rewards for being calm and measured. And I wonder if Conte's going to be saying that to them.
It's very different game, different players, not away from home. It's, it's not top 4 at stake.
Less at stake.
It's completely different. Yeah. And I wanted to say about all or nothing, Dan, as you can see, Alan warmed to Arteta, which is what happened to a lot of people that were a little bit unsure. Oh, no, Al, it's totally different, but we will go at them. I'm not talking about aggressive, losing heads, stuff like that. I don't think they'll be riled up the way that Son did his elbow to Holding and Holding reacted and obviously Son gets away with it and Holding goes off. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be us going at them as in football, not aggressive. And we've got different players. Jesus didn't play for us then. Zinchenko wasn't playing for us then. I don't think Partey was on the pitch because he was injured. It's it's totally a different situation. And it's at home at 12:30. It's not, I think it was a night game that night. It's totally different. But I want to ask Daniel a question, and this is a serious one, Daniel. This isn't me taking the mick or anything like that. I actually think that you're pretty average this season. Really weirdly, I've watched a lot of your games. If you watch you against Nottingham Forest, they had about 20 chances. I just think people are not taking their chances against you. But are you impressed with what Conte's done this season? Do you feel... How can I put this? I don't want to sound like an Arsenal fan, but I think you're pretty average. You've just got away with it at the moment. That's all.
I know what you're saying. I mean, I certainly wouldn't say we're average. I mean, there's so many teams that have done well by not playing particularly well and then going on to win. I think certainly the first 4 or 5 games were against sides that we lost against last season in equivalent fixtures and we won them. That has to be an improvement. Of course, we're not firing on all cylinders yet. We showed against Leicester that we can do that. We can turn it on. First half in that game was awful. But, I take your point absolutely about the Nottingham Forest game. We did get away with one. We got away with it at Chelsea as well. But, Chelsea last year, we lost. Southampton, all the games that we're winning this season, we lost last year. And, it's about the 3 points. You won the league under George Graham when you won 1-0 every week. If you can grind out the results and if you can win ugly, fantastic. That's a
real myth.
Okay. But
the 1-0 to the Arsenal came from our Cup Winners' Cup campaign.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the league.
Okay, but you didn't play great. We did play great football.
Well, we did. I mean, I know what you're saying about the
boring.
That's
another myth.
Okay.
But again,
I'll send you the videos of the 89 season and 91 season. And the season after that, the video was actually called 92 for 92 because we scored nearly 100 goals the season after that under supposedly boring George Graham.
Football. Anyway, back to the point. And again, I accept what you're saying, obviously. But no, we haven't played great football all of the time. We have played it in fleeting moments. Better teams up front may have punished us, and tomorrow may be one of those games that we do get punished. I think if we can keep Jesus quiet, then I think that's going to be a big plus. Again, I've seen a lot of him this season. He can play 25, 30 minutes at a time and be outstanding, and then disappear for 25 minutes at a time. and tomorrow you may not be able to afford that luxury.
No, you won't. And I'm just going to say something that Carl said. It's very true. If Forest had a decent striker, Spurs would have been hammered and rode their luck against Chelsea. And I'm glad you can see that, Dan, because I felt like you've got away with games, but you're right.
We have.
You know, championship winning teams do play and, you know, not so great and win games. I sort of get that.
But I think
go on.
It really depends on how you switch out of that. Because you're right, Amanda. I mean, sometimes you can be a title-winning team that is getting a few lucky breaks, but waiting for it all to click, and it clicks right. And you not only have the results, but you get the performances with it as well.
For sure.
But we've got recent history at Arsenal of a season pretty similar to that. The first Unai Emery season, he had a couple of difficult fixtures at the start. I think, you know, we played City at home and then maybe Chelsea away. But then we went on a 22-game unbeaten run, and everyone thought our problems were solved. You know, we got this new guy in, isn't it wonderful? But the numbers after those games showed that we were actually being battered and teams weren't taking their chances against us. And at that pivotal point halfway through the season, we were looking at, well, maybe, just maybe, we'll start performing and the results will stay the same. They didn't. The results turned against us and the performances were still as bad. And that's obviously what ultimately cost us the top four that season. I can't really see that happening with Conte, because I think that it was proven last year that he did improve you. And he did, yeah. But also he got to grips with any problems that occurred during the season. So I actually think it's an ominous sign that you're playing badly and winning at the moment.
What you think is a little bit like our Emery run? Is that what you're thinking?
But I think they're going to switch out of it, Amanda, on the fact that Conte is a better manager.
Yeah.
There's a slightly better personnel to choose from.
Yeah.
And he's already proven that he can go on a downward streak. I mean, I forget the games last season, but there was a period where he's actually under pressure, wasn't there, Daniel? There was a sort of a period. I think you lost in Europe, and there was a couple of other games where he just wasn't playing that well.
And there was no plan B. He didn't, because he didn't have the players. He didn't have the players to change things around. You know, we've bought well. We've got a stronger bench. We've got more options than we've ever had before, and we've got the best manager. I mean, at the time of his signing, he's the highest caliber manager that we've ever appointed. You know, Bill Nicholson became Bill Nicholson, Birkinshaw became Birkinshaw, etc. Right? You know, Mourinho was already on his way down. You know, this guy, he's the real deal. And if he can't get success for us, nobody will.
Do you think though? Do you think though that there's been rumours, hasn't there, about Conte and the Juventus job? Do you think it's just paper talk? Do you think he'd go back or not?
Would he go back? Yeah, of course he'd go back to Italy. Would he go back this season? No, I don't think he will. I think he needs to have at least 2 seasons. You know, he joined, what was it, last November. You know, he needs to have 1 full season, and he's spoken himself. You need 3 or 4 transfer windows to really make your mark and then have a run on it. And I'm not saying it because it's Conte and Tottenham. Clubs generally, you can't be Watford, right? You can't change managers at the drop of a hat. I mean, looking at Arsenal as well, they've stuck by Arteta, and it's starting to pay dividends now. Clubs generally need to be patient. They need to let managers do the job they are employed to do and not panic.
Yes, Daniel, I couldn't agree with you more. Okay, so are you worried about tomorrow, Daniel?
I'm worried about every game we play.
Yeah.
I'm a Spurs fan. No, listen, Arsenal started the season really, really well. You know, you can't deny that. Arsenal are at home. You know, the crowd's noisy. Everyone's going to be up for it. I'd be a liar if I said I'm not worried. Am I confident in our own team? Do I think we have the players that can win the game? Absolutely. Will we win the game? Ask me at 2:30.
There's a really good question that's just come in from Lynn. Lynn always follows this show. Thank you so much for your support. Dan, may I ask the question, would you rather see Arsenal style of play or Spurs style of play?
I mean, what is a Spurs style of play at the moment? I mean, Alan sort of alluded to it earlier on. You know, some games we go out and we will attack and we will blow teams apart. Other times we can struggle to hit 2 passes together and ride our luck. maybe we'll get a result, maybe we won't. As I keep saying, I've seen a lot of Arsenal this season. They have played well in some games and not so well in other games. I just think, what is Tottenham's style of football? If we can play the Spurs way, I would see that every day of the week. Yes. Arsenal are playing well at the moment. I think it's the best you're going to get out of me.
I disagree slightly with you about our starts of the season. We haven't played well some and bad some. We've played well, generally.
I disagree, Amanda. Totally disagree.
I think we've played well because I think when
Totally
we've gone
disagree.
1-0 down or they've scored, we're straight back the other end. Even at United, we didn't play badly, Al.
Our home games have been poor. Terrible.
What?
They have.
No.
They have.
Poor.
Fulham,
terrible.
Fulham, maybe not that far, but look, Fulham were relegation favourites. We narrowly beat them 2-1. Aston Villa were in dire straits when they came to us. We narrowly beat them 2-1. Leicester struggled to score 2 against anyone, and they scored 2 against us. I honestly think our home form is questionable. And I'll tell you what, the weirdest thing is, we've only played, one difficult fixture this season, I would say, and that was away at Manchester United, and we got beat by 2 goals. So I'm not ultimately convinced that we've turned a corner. Obviously, I hope we have, and I'm loving being top of the league. I think a few people, I know you're tempering your predictions, but a few people have gone really far with their predictions today. We'll batter Tottenham tomorrow.
No,
we're top of the league. We're
No.
title contenders.
No.
Let's just get through one game at a time, because I tell you what, a defeat tomorrow suddenly has the accusations coming back out that, all right, you beat a few teams that were going to probably finish in the bottom 12. Beat United away, and now you can't beat Tottenham. And that's definitely what will be levelled at Arteta's team tomorrow if we don't win the game.
No, come on, come on. I'm sorry. I disagree with you about the home form, but
The
obviously
results are in front of me here.
Well, we beat them,
Relegation
so
favourites.
we haven't lost.
Narrow win. Aston Villa.
Al, your sound keeps going off and on.
Narrow
Al, go nearer to your mic. Your sound keeps going on and off. But can I just say something that you're forgetting? At Man United, we scored a very good goal to begin with that was taken off by VAR. So how do you know we wouldn't have won that game? That probably knocked us. And we made mistakes. We played too high lane. It was not a foul. But anyway. Look, Dan, it'll end up me and Alan will be arguing on here, not me and you.
I'm just
saying we need to temper our enthusiasm just because a defeat tomorrow starts to make our start of season form look like we just beat a load of teams that we were meant to beat, and in the cases of at home, only by a 1 goal.
That's the phrase. You have beaten teams that you were meant to. Sorry, that you should be beating.
Yeah. It's quite possible. It's quite possible. I want to see tomorrow that's proven wrong.
I want to ask Gooners in the chat room, who do you agree with, Alan or myself? Come on, let's see who thinks what, because I think I don't agree. But I just want to ask a couple more questions.
But what don't you agree with? The results are actually there in front of me.
We're top of the league. We can't be that bad at home. I'm sorry.
I didn't say bad.
You did. You said bad and poor form.
That was harsh, but I said we might not be as good as we're saying. Because if you look at the teams we've beaten, especially at home, the 2 narrow wins against Fulham and Aston Villa don't tell me that we're amazing title contenders. They tell me that we narrowly beat 2 teams we should have beat at home. And we've still got this problem with clean sheets at home.
Okay,
so it could be a problem. I hope I'm wrong.
Name a team that's gone to Brentford and done that. Oh, wait. Go on.
We caught them on a good day, I must admit.
Oh, well, and you've always got an excuse of why we... you know, you're hilarious.
I've not seen Brentford play as badly in the Premier League, so that was a good day.
Did we play well? Or did we play well?
We definitely played well.
We played brilliant.
We played well in that game. We played well in the Palace game. We played well in the United game. And we played well in the Bournemouth game. They're the 4 away games. In the home games, we haven't played so well. So I just want to see that change tomorrow.
Right, I've got 2 people that agree with me. We've got Carl that says agree with Amanda and Amanda for me.
He has to agree with you.
I was going to say Cole has to agree
Cole
with you.
doesn't have to agree with me, and trust me, he doesn't. But Gunnar Vettel says, I think you're being harsh. Okay, I think you need to come down a little bit on the bad, poor form. I think there are times that we haven't played superb. I absolutely agree with that. But I do feel Man United, I know what you're saying about the top six, maybe. We haven't played them yet. We played United. We got done by VAR. And then it just all went to pot. I get that. We've got Tottenham tomorrow. I understand what you're saying now. If, for any reason, God forbid on earth, we lose tomorrow, I understand what's going to come out. But I still think... Go on. Sorry, Dan.
I was going to say, and then Liverpool next week as well. You've got 9 games in October.
I know, and it's coming thick and fast. But we've got a good squad, and not only that, what
you?
God,
what
I would say,
you've got a good starting 11.
I'm more worried about playing Spurs than Liverpool this season. Let me tell you that. I've watched Liverpool.
I've watched Spurs. You'd be more worried playing Liverpool than us.
But you are winning games where you've been lucky in certain respects. But okay, we look at we've got a whole spine now from start to finish, from the goalkeeper, defence, midfield to the strike, which we didn't have because Lacazette wasn't scoring, Aubameyang was doing what he was doing, and it just wasn't working. As much as I love Lacazette, what he's done now by bringing in Jesus, Martinelli, you forget about him. We've got people on that pitch now that it is all clicking and it's going well. Also, I'd like to wish... ESR, good luck in his recovery. I'd heard about this groin injury and I'm gutted we're not going to see him for a few months, but he'll come back bigger and stronger. What I feel is our defence is I don't even want to say it because I just know what's going to happen tomorrow, but we're more confident in our defence. We're more confident in midfield. We've got Xhaka playing like he's like a new player in a right position. We've got strikers galore. We've got Jesus.
Well, no, we haven't.
Hold on, sorry.
We haven't got strikers galore. We are one Jesus injury away from having a championship player up front.
Okay, I know what you're saying. Sorry, that wasn't my question. My question was to Dan is your defence and your attack. You've got Kane and Son. No one can deny. No one with any ounce of sense can deny what a fantastic, awesome player Son is. You just can't. If I could have him in my team, I would. Kane gets away with bloody murder with everything he does. But again, hold on, Dan. You can't deny how good he is either. I'm not saying that, but he gets away with bloody murder. He really, really does with the refs and VAR. Moving on from that, because I know what you're going to say to me. Your defence, are you more impressed with him this season or
100%.
less? Right.
Much more. I mean,
so your transfer window worked for you, yeah?
Romero, I mean, he joined last season. For me, and I choose my words carefully, I'm not saying the best, one of the best defenders in the Premier League currently, one of the best defenders I've seen at Tottenham in my 47 years going. Quality, absolute quality. Bit of a temperament, but when he joined us, he was voted the best defender in Serie A the season before. You don't get that accolade easily. Clement Longley hit the ground running. He looks like a young Jan Vertonghen. Sanchez, there's always some mistake in him. Dyer absolutely deserves to be back in the England setup. Not the best defender in the country. Solid, reliable. He scored a couple of goals this season. We've scored more goals from headers this season than any other team in the Premier League. We've got a new set piece coach that's come in. We've scored more goals from corners, I think, already this season than we did the whole of last season.
That's like us as well.
Dyer's got to, you've scored 4, we've scored 7 from headers this season. It's in defence, we are a lot better than we used to be. A lot better.
Okay, so it's really interesting. I'm going to ask Alan this as well, but Dan, I'm going to come to you first.
Okay.
Do you think that your league placing, your third, is flattering, or do you think you deserve to be there?
It's flattering from some of the performances. We deserve to be there on results. It is as simple as that. If you go unbeaten going into the first international break after 6 or 7 games, and we've won I think 5 of them, then you deserve to be right up there. Who
have you played, Dan?
Yeah, okay, all right. We beat Leicester, we beat Southampton. We drew at Chelsea, we drew at West Ham, but these are all games that we lost last season. and that's the thing. So, we beat Man City twice last season. That's unlikely to happen this year. We didn't lose against Liverpool over 2 games, but if we can catch up and make up points against teams that we lost last season, then that's going to do our point tally come the end of the season wonders. And so far, that's happening. That's all you can ask for.
You always do well against City. Always do well against City at City. You know that. But that Haaland, I hope he's playing against you a lot. He is a beast, isn't he? Unbelievable unit. He really is.
Yeah.
Al, going to ask you that then. Do you think first is flattering where we are Arsenal?
On the basis that we won't finish there, it has to be. And it's an early season table. I mean, I don't look at league tables till about 10 games in, and even then they can lie. They can actually lie after about 30 odd games. I mean, the true measure of a team, is usually about 50 games, which is 12 more games than a Premier League season. So you're never really getting a true measure of a team's ability. So the league table can lie at any point in the season. There have definitely been deserved placings, like City definitely deserved to win it last year. That wasn't lying, but there'll be other places within it that could have been a bit off. We're not going to finish first, so you have to say first is flattering to us at this moment in time. But the thing is, I can't see us finishing any lower than 5th, so it can only be 2 or 3 places out, because we are in that section where we're going to be. And I think Tottenham are as well. We have to say that, whether or not you think they've been lucky or about to turn a corner with results and performances as well. They'll be in the top 5 as well. So, they'll only be 1 or 2 spaces away from wherever they're going to actually end up anyway. So the league table will take shape a little bit more over the next 4 or 5 games. And I just think, I mean, it's interesting. Dan said, we've got Liverpool after Tottenham. The accusations could be flying then if we lose both those games. But we were then due to play City. And it's only the postponement of the PSV game that has actually meant that we're going to not see Haaland and this, beastly striker until we play them away and get this game rearranged. And I hope it's right at the end of the season when they've got a Champions League final to look forward to or something like that, and they don't even play him. And we need 3 points to be in the top 4, and we beat them. So imagine if we were playing City as well. The papers would have been lapping it up if we'd have lost those 3 games on the trot, saying, well, it's all well and good. You said you turned the corner. You've just been beating the teams you should have been. So I'm really pleased that game's off, because to play those 3 games on the bounce, I mean, I remember looking at it when the fixtures came out in June, and I thought, that is brutal.
Yeah.
It's absolutely brutal. So we've been a bit lucky there. We haven't been lucky in the sense that we're going to be playing Thursday, Sunday for about the next 5 weeks.
No, I know. And unfortunately, and we've got, so Dan, we play you Saturday, then we've got FK Bodo on Thursday night, luckily at home. Then we've got Liverpool, then we've got PSV. It's non-stop. But Arnie Arneson wanted to say a point. Spurs have played teams lower than 14th outside Chelsea. So where you're saying we haven't played anyone, works both ways. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you for your point, Arnie. It's all very exciting. Okay. Right, let's have a look. Let's put some questions.
They beat Fulham at home.
We beat Fulham at home as well. But apparently
they're above 14.
They're 6 at the moment. They are 6.
Oh,
so
okay,
that's
fine.
Not right.
I'm not checking these as I'm putting them out. You know that. If Arsenal are 1 Jesus injury away from falling away, aren't City 1 Haaland's injury away from the same?
No, because I didn't say that. No. I didn't say that, Stefano. I said we're 1 Jesus injury away from having a championship level player up front, because Eddie Nketiah is not a Premier League quality player, and I don't want to find out how bad he's going to be if we have to rely on him, because any more than 2 or 3 games, we're not going to be able to rely on him.
That's what I said before, mate.
We will be in terrible trouble if Jesus gets any kind of long-term injury.
I agree. That's what I said before, Andrew, about you having a very good starting 11, a very good starting 11. Strength in depth isn't as strong as perhaps it could be. You've just lost Emil Smith-Rowe as well for a number of months, you said. up front, you are sorely lacking in cover, and that's one area that was so glaringly obvious for Tottenham fans over the last couple of years. That's been put right. We have a much stronger bench now. We have options.
Well, can I just say something? Let me just clarify my point. We've got strength in depth everywhere apart from Jesus. And second of all, I disagree. I think Eddie's been looking great. I really do, Al. I think you've been a little bit harsh there. Oh,
When's
come
he been
on.
looking great?
Oh, I think
he's had 30 odd games. He scores one every 5.
I think he changed so many games last season. I mean, Azard has saying Eddie's been looking great.
When? He's
I think Eddie is better than Alan's suggestion. I'm just look.
I'm looking at actual things on the bit of paper here saying he scored. He averages a goal about 1 in every 5 games. He hasn't had the opportunities. I grant him that.
He hasn't.
But in the Premier League, he will start to be found out. The only reason he played well last season is because Chelsea had scouted an immobile Lacazette and actually ended up facing a very mobile Nketiah. And that's how he got his goal against them, because he was actually chasing them down. They didn't expect an Arsenal's forward to be doing that. Lacazette hadn't done that, and Aubameyang hadn't done that. As soon as sides worked Nketiah out, he's not been effective.
Oh, come on, Al.
He's not been effective. I tell you what, Miranda, I don't want it to have to be proven, because I tell you what, if we have to rely on him for any period of games where he is our sole striker, you will see a massive drop off. He is a championship quality player, if that. He didn't get in the championship team for Leeds. He didn't get in the championship team for Leeds. And
he's improved.
I'll finish this off. He's got a stinking attitude, as seen in All or Nothing. I wouldn't have him in the team, and that's why we were trying to get rid of him.
I haven't seen that. I didn't really notice that in the All or Nothing.
He was being coached by the attacking coach, analytics, and he was all huffy in the analytics room, and he walked out without thanking the guy. I don't know. I've got a big question mark about Nketiah.
Okay,
I really have. Huge question mark.
What about when he went to Chelsea and destroyed them? I mean,
he didn't destroy them. They had scouted to play against Lacazette. Lacazette missed out the game. We played Nketiah instead. They'd obviously scouted someone that wasn't going to chase him down. Nketiah did. He got a chance. He finished it. He played well at the end of last season. He played really well at the end of last season. He played really well at the end of last season, but you won't rely on him for a tranche of games because, as I said, he's not a Premier League quality player.
But Martinelli can play striker as well. And as I was thinking that, I was
thinking maybe, yeah.
I thought, Melvin agrees with you. Hello, Melvin, Uncle Melv. Eddie's a squad player at best. I mean, look, that's the beauty of football. It's all about opinions. But we've been chatting over an hour. I can't even believe this. So if we can just go on to a little bit of tomorrow. Let's just chat about tomorrow. So I want to know your predictions. Dan, what are you predicting?
2-1. Don't ask me who to.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you who to.
Genuinely, it's one of those that could go either way. Equally, it could be 3-0 to you or it could be 1-0 to us. Nothing would surprise me.
Typical bloke. Come on.
No, okay. 1-0. And I would take that.
Yeah. Okay. Alan, I'm writing this down, by the way. Go on.
I've agreed with most of the things Daniel said, but I disagree that it could be 3-0 to Arsenal. I don't see how it could be the way that I think the game will go. I think if Arsenal win it, as I said, I think it'll be a 1-2-1, 1-0, 2-1. And I think if Tottenham win it, or the way that Tottenham can win it, is it for it to be a complete shootout and a sort of a 4-3, 4-2, something like that. I am going to hope that it is obviously the former and that Arsenal nick it 2-1.
Right, so you're going 2-1 and I'm going 2-0. I think it's my first. Yeah, it's my first prediction of the score of the season. Because I think I can easily see that. Look, as you said, Dan, I can see anything happening tomorrow. Yeah. It depends who turns up. It depends if the referee decides to actually book Harry Kane for fouling every 5 seconds and getting away with it. It depends if VAR decide to be professional and actually go in favour of the correct decision and not Spurs' decision. And that's what I was going to talk to you about as well. If you look at some VAR decisions, I'm not going to go down our route because every fan thinks they're against their club. but you have to see how many decisions you get. If you watch at Chelsea, and trust me, I don't love Chelsea at all. When your player, I don't know who it was, pulled that bloke's hair in the penalty area and pushed him to the floor, and you don't get anything, how can you? Yeah, Romero, that's it. How do you?
It's the same referee. It's the same referee tomorrow, by the way.
Great.
The Chelsea Tottenham game, Anthony
I'm not
Taylor.
going for a draw anymore. I'm not going for a draw anymore.
Jared Gillett's on VAR, the Australian guy.
I need to be on VAR.
Is he the one that disallowed Ham's goal at Chelsea? That back, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
Would you say,
yeah.
because your sound went again? Who disallowed what?
He disallowed West Ham's goal at Chelsea, I believe. Yeah.
Oh,
the equaliser.
I can tell you now, Dan. I hope we're not discussing it. I just hope it's a really good game, and obviously Arsenal win,
no controversy.
Stay top of the league, and you don't. I mean, obviously that's what we both want. It's just been such a great show. I want to thank everyone in the chat room as well, because it's just nice to have a sensible chat, even though I don't agree with Al. That'll be me and Dan arguing, not me and Al. But it's been really interesting, because I've wanted to get you on the show for a while, and thank you so much for coming on, Dan.
Thanks for having me.
So tomorrow, 12:30, the big kickoff, the big North London derby. We are going to be singing, Dan. We are going to be singing, and that place is going to be rocking. And I just hope that you have a great day out. You just don't get the result that you want. And thanks to everybody in the chat room. I really appreciate it. Just to give you an update on our next show. As some of you know, Craig has taken a break from hosting the podcast on Sundays and Mondays. He's not feeling very well mentally. He appreciates all your, support on Twitter as well. He's taken a break. So we're going to keep it going. So there's going to be me, Suburban Gooner Chris, and Cookie, who are normally on the Monday night show, and Chris is going to be hosting. So Sunday night 7:30, come back to YouTube and join us regardless of the score. No doubt Chris is going to have one of his infamous rants. He's a fantastic blogger as well. Go and check him out, Suburban Gooner on Twitter. You got James Cook, who's great, and there'll be us three on Sunday evening 7:30. We all wish Craig well. Thank you for the comments for Craig. I'd like to say a big thank you to my mate Daniel Wynn. Thank you, my lovely.
Thank you for having me, and good to meet you, Alan. You
too, Daniel.
Oh, it's just too nice. It's just too nice.
I know.
It's just too nice. Have a terrible day tomorrow, Daniel. Alan, have the best day ever. Everybody in the chat room, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. And remember, North London is always red. Good night, everyone.